ReBoot goes as far back as I can remember. I was born the same year the show came out. I'm told I taught myself how to run the VCR so that I could record episodes of ReBoot to tape. I was 3 years old. I don't remember a time in my life before ReBoot, so it's always been there.
So I was 8, and my mom thought I would love this really cool show that was being made in Vancouver.
It was one of the things I always watched at night on YTV with my dad and my little brother. It was just the peak thing for a child's brain, where it was colorful. There was cool adventures going on. There were new worlds.
It just became one of my go-to after-school shows that I come home to every day at like 3:30, 4 o'clock.
The first episode played, and from that moment on, I just fell in love with the show.
I saw ReBoot for the first time this year. I'd never seen it until I was asked to help out with this show, but I got the chance to watch the entire show fresh, and yeah, what an experience.
Yeah, I saw ReBoot for the first time as an adult, probably about 2 years ago. I didn't get it immediately. I think, watching it with 30 years of cartoon innovation afterwards, that it felt less polished than kind of what I was used to.
I mean, it's very original. I think the characters are just so incredible. The show gets darker as it goes along as well. I think it just keeps surprising you.
Everything about that show, you can just see where there's just so much love put into it in every department.
There's something to be said about how that show made you feel. If there was a dramatic moment that happened or a funny moment, there's just things that people will never forget. I will never forget Bob being shot into the web. I will never forget finding him again.
It felt like you were watching a movie most of the time instead of a cartoon. It was more Star Wars than it was Flintstones.
It was just simply good TV.
So if you've never seen ReBoot and you watch this documentary, I hope at the very least it gets you curious and interested to start watching it, because it's an amazing show.
ReBoot's always kind of felt like a secret handshake with people. Oh, you watched ReBoot? I remember ReBoot.
It's kind of like a shared experience for anyone that grew up in the 90s in Canada.
I've gotten a range of responses when I say that I'm working on it. There's like some people that are like, oh yeah, I think I've heard of that. And then there's people that are like, I loved that show. Like, what do you mean? Can I see it? Can I see it right now? Like, what can you tell me about it?
The thought to have a hand in something that could be really big and really important to the people who do love the show was, I couldn't say no to that.
I really wanted to bring this story to life because it needed to be told and people weren't talking about it.
I've seen a lot of documentaries about the early years of computer animation, whether that's through the lens of Pixar or Industrial Light and Magic. And in the list of computer animation achievements, there's lots of milestones in those early 90s years, and ReBoot doesn't usually get mentioned, and that's kind of a shame, because it should be.
It wasn't just Vancouver, it wasn't just Canada, it was world history. And I think that a lot of people don't know that.
I think the history of the technological change is fascinating. I think that the personalities of the people that were there making the project, I think, are so fun to watch.
Just with a few sentences out of their mouth, you just know. It's like this was the person for that job, and they were masters of it at the time.
What goes into making a show, especially for kids, and working with network expectations and fan expectations as well, I thought that was very valuable as a filmmaker.
Most people think of ReBoot as that niche little Canadian cartoon that they loved as a kid, and they don't realize the huge impact that it had. You can draw a line from this show to almost any facet of the film and television industry.
I think the fans are really going to appreciate how much the people who participated in the creation of the show still love it, and how invested they are in it, and how they speak about how it's just had such a heavy impact on their life and what they do now even.
I really hope the fans enjoy this. I really do.